Hello and welcome to your Happy Mean podcast slash video slash live slash a little bit of everything. And I'm Maria, working at 341. Cheers. Tonight we're live because it's hi Jivan. We're gonna talk about children and why have I decided to raise my kids Catholic. I thought about putting a post up, but I think the best way is to come and explain it alive and um, with a conversation. So I'm live in Instagram. I will upload this on on the podcast, as you can see, and then on the YouTube video. And so let's chat about this idea, because at this point of the game, I think having children and raising them Catholic sounds almost like brainwashing to some people, and a lot of people have had some traumas, I think, from the way they were raised Catholic. Um, and there's a lot of weird cults out there. I don't know about India, but in the rest of the Western world, everybody is a guru or a somebody to follow that has this ultimate way of uh, leading everybody to happiness, and then they end up having Kool-Aid and dying, or other strange things happen when you belong to a cult. And in many occasions, I think a lot of these cults are somewhat Jesus-y followers or hiding behind this. And I think it's a little dangerous for my children or for anybody to be out there in the world with a soul needing to be fed and not knowing where to go for food. So I would want my kids to have the ability of choosing, of taking care of their soul. So I would want them to have a formation that, see, I wrote it down so I don't forget. I would want them to have a formation in their bodies and in their spirits that lets them both take care of their spirit and their body. So let's go even. These are my notes. I'm gonna share with you my notes. This is what we're gonna talk about. If you stay a little longer and are patient with my voice and my chats. So the first thing that comes to mind is this book I was just reading to my kid that I meant to bring it over here. I will actually just go get it for you to check it out. It's a book about the universe, or the earth, and so there's this one picture over here that has the Big Bang explained as this what it is, a great boom. That's what the translation goes for, a great boom. And then well, there's like galaxies, and then there's the Via Láctea, and this is the solar system, and then Earth, and then I said, and that's where we are. That's a tiny speck of where we are, and that's pretty. I think it's such a big concept for a little person to try to comprehend. And he wants to get a telescope, and it's a pretty cool idea to look at the skies and see stars and imagine that you are just basically nothing in there. You're just floating around in the world, circling the earth, and you could be destroyed by an asteroid at any point. And or we could just be like, look at this picture. We have aliens. And he's been talking about aliens. And I say, well, look at the size of the universe. Who knows? If there's aliens, I wouldn't be surprised, right? I think pretty normal to have aliens. But this one alien's pretty, like, real. And he's a little traumatized with that. Anyway, so as I'm trying to explain this, so he's like, okay, so where's the boom coming from? Where's everything coming from? And then we're also planting seeds this morning. And it's pretty amazing to see when one tiny seed starts growing, and then it's the place that you're going for snacks later when you're having a soccer game or you're outside playing, and by the heat it's so nice to have like a pea or a nice fresh tomato. And they really like going to get tomatoes. They probably eat 1,000. And we have raspberries, and it's really fun for them to see that whole process of nature. So explaining to them life when you're explaining nature is pretty interesting. When you work it all together, they see the plants die in the winter and then they come back to life, some of them, but also not all of them. And they also then understand their own little self as finite. It's going to die one day. Because I have told that to Gabriel repeatedly. This conversation comes up because my grandpa died, and he's seen them in pictures, and my grandma was here, and they naturally talk about my grandpa and where is he, and well, he died, and where is he now? Well, hopefully in heaven with Jesus. And then Easter happened. So uh, what happened to Jesus? Well, he died, and then he went to heaven. He opened the doors of heaven, and now everybody can go in. And it's amazing. And we're gonna meet there all after. It's such a hopeful way of looking at death, that we're all going to meet again in spirit, and we're going to be at peace and happy and joyful, and we're going to be maybe in a different level. If you don't believe in heaven, maybe it's that time that we all die and we meet in our spiritual selves and according to what we are now. Hi Mara, hi Emma, welcome in. I am recording. We're chatting about why I decided to teach my kids about, or raise them Catholic, about God, and how I'm trying to integrate that into their learning, their natural development. Because I think at this point, some people would suggest that raising your child Catholic would be a little brainwashy, and many people have struggled in many ways because of the way the Catholic faith was taught to them. Or even worse, they've gone through pretty horrible experiences. Like, I'm not blind to that, and I want to make that very clear. I'm not blindly choosing to raise them Catholic, because I see all of those imperfections in the Catholic Church, and I'm not asleep to all the pedophilia going on, and like it's a very imperfect community, imperfect to say the least. But the thing about the Catholic faith, I think it integrates your personal existence in a really natural way, an amazing way, and gives you a really positive worldview that can help you succeed in life, because ultimately you're going to be living on earth to be happy and to enjoy life and to help others be happy and enjoy life. That's basically, I would say, the ultimate. Um, Hi, Cassandra. The ultimate goal on a Catholic's mind would be to live a perfect life, to be perfect as the Father is perfect. That's what a Catholic is called to. So, the more perfect you try to make your existence now, then the more perfect your spiritual existence will be later, whatever that looks like. Because I don't think nobody can assure how the life in spirit's gonna be like. I don't know if that's making sense to you guys. Please send me a little message and say, hey man, you're not making any more sense. Go back to your notes. So we have the Big Bang, and we are going back to our notes. The notes here, in case you want to see them again. There's this Big Bang. So then you look at nature, it's so perfect. How can this be that out of nothing there is so much, and that what there is perfect? And you can see how perfect life is in nature, and you can also see how life is perfect in your own body mechanism and how it works, and how it can tell you, hey, you have this pain that is gonna then shoot you and incite you to go to the doctor and find out it's cancer, or a you keep having migraines, maybe sleep more, or the body will send you the message, either heartburn, it will give you a cold. It's telling you to hold on and to reconnect with who you are and what you believe. So I think that's pretty magical. And then the other magical part is that you have the power of creating life. Um, we are all born with that power. Some, of course, have issues with that part at one point. But I think that also is because we are kind of attacking our bodies and we are not taught how to not attack our bodies. I don't know. I don't know why this is. Maybe because of this idea of trying to reach perfection, that we just have an ideal and then we're just really tough with us and we can't love ourselves. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think hurts so much our body image? The way maybe we continuously think on what the other person's gonna think of us, and then that stops us from acting the way we want to act. And I think that I struggle with. Like, oh, but then they're gonna think, well, hold on, why do you care? And this is something I want to teach to my kids. Why do you care what they're gonna think? You do what's best for you, that's not gonna harm anybody, that is gonna maybe help other people. Do that. You always choose that. That's what I want to end up teaching them. And that's what I think the Catholic faith can provide them with many stories in the whole Bible of how to love properly and how to choose the right thing. So how can I know what to choose? Well, there's always a story. You're always gonna find a story. And if you don't find a story, you can find your own Catechism of the Catholic Church book. And it's going to have an answer, most likely, to all of your Catholic questions. It is a book that I think is the first thing anybody should study if you're a conscious being and you have decided to become Catholic, or decided to teach your children how to be Catholic. I see that it's maybe a little bit dense and a little bit long, But I had an excellent class that I think everybody should have. That goes through the whole thing with an excellent teacher at an excellent school. Our Lady Seat of Wisdom Academy is there. I'll tag it in here if you want to check them out, if you're a Catholic or considering it. Um, well, we had this class, and I think that was the first time in my 17 or 18 years of being a Catholic that I had heard of that book, surprisingly. I also lived with the consecrates of Regnum Christi for 2 years, and I think they also had a bit of a culty personality to them, and um, I think the way that the Catholic faith was taught was a bit guilt trippy, probably because of the founder. If you don't know about it, go ahead and Google it. I won't tell more. But when I say I'm aware of how bad the Catholic Church is, I really do mean it. And I was there, and I came out, and I had to deal with issues 10 years later because I didn't know I had issues. Uh, Super fun. But after all of that mess and after all of those, maybe some people would say negative experiences, but I don't think I ever had a negative experience with it. I loved my 2 years there with the consecrates. I had an excellent time. I think I found a lot of who I was. I I convinced myself, if you want to call it like that, of what I wanted to believe, or that I was loved by God, and that everybody was, and that if nobody else knows, it's almost my duty to let them know, hey, you're also loved, and you don't have to be depressed. Um, like, life can be pretty amazing. You're put in this earth to enjoy life, so enjoy it. Be glad that you're here and love the other people. And that's very simple, and it also can be pretty difficult, because in the day-to-day, loving some people can be very difficult. and, um, and it's hard to choose the right thing, and it's hard to choose to give the other cheek, yeah, to let it go. and, and yeah, it's tough, but it's also comforting when, okay, you're gonna stab me in the back, you're gonna, yeah, you're gonna hurt me like that. That's okay. I'm gonna let it go, and I'm gonna forgive you, and I'm gonna understand that that comes from a very dark place that you must be, and I'm just going to move on. And if you ever want to come back and say apologize, I would be very happy to have you back in my life. But it's that aspect, and this is another reason why I think I would want to raise my children Catholic, because I want to give them that I think the example of Christ. Say you don't want to believe that Christ exists, but as a fictional, if you want to call the Bible a fictional book, because I know some people do, um, Christ and his example of love that he puts in the Bible is very radical and shocking and beautiful, because he loves everybody, especially the sinners, especially the people that was not loved, and he forgives, and and that level of forgiveness is so high that when you have something pretty, like, you have to forgive something pretty stupid, really, in, like, everything seems small when you compare it to the radical forgiveness that Christ did to Peter, who negated him 3 times at the moment of his crucifixion and wasn't there for him. Uh, like, really, are you complaining? So I think it puts things to perspective, or maybe raises your own self to have much higher, a much higher ideal than you would want to have. So that's another reason why. Secondly, or thirdly, or I don't know how many reasons have I said yet, why else would I do raise them Catholic, is because as so now that you understand that you're a speck, nothing, a period in the painting of the universe, you are also the creature that God, the creator of all of that, decided to become, and decided to come and tell you that you are loved and that you have a dignity that compares to him in person. Your humanity is raised so high up above all other creatures because of him coming into the earth. So that makes you stand proud. Hey, God chose to come to be a human like me and like you and like everybody else. So I am going to respect that humanity, that exists innate in each human being from the moment of creation till death. Um, and then because of that too, they can understand their body as a perfect organism, created for love and to be loved in the same amount that they have been loved. So they are going to look for somebody that will love them in that manner, and that in itself will give them hopefully the 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 reason why they should take care of their own body, because their body is truly a temple. It's the highest of creatures that has the power of creation, of creating life, of creating amazing things, of creating art, of growing food, of deciding where the food's gonna go, eating the animals that it wants to eat. It has that power over all the other creatures in it. Because of that, it has a responsibility of taking care of all of those, because it also understands that he is not the creator of all of everything, but just a co-creator, somebody that is capable of living in this dimension, planet, and we have power over here, but this is not our end goal. Our end goal is over here in the fifth dimension, if you want to call it like that, in the soul dimension. And that right now we're just borrowing this body to to live and to love and to enjoy. So I think that's a great worldview, and I could also give them a worldview that doesn't have God, but first of all, a little bit boring, a little less exciting, and secondly, it's it's not logical to me to not have God. I think God comes too logical when I am aware of how perfect the world is created. Like, I'm suspicious. I can't make a human by my, like, I couldn't have been the first human that was made. it's pretty amazing. Anyways, all the things by nature are pretty incredibly working really great. So how is that random? Doesn't make sense to me. If it does make sense to you, please do share that with me. I would like to hear your thoughts. Um, I'm just explaining why I choose to give them this faith. Humility is written right here. Is looking at me, and the humility of acknowledging that you are not the end goal, that you are not the creator, and that there is somebody above you. I think that's where would a lot of people stop. Stop right there. I can't accept that. I can't accept that I, the self, I am the ultimate creator. I am the all powerful. I am the almighty. When in reality, we're all finite. We're all going to, like, even if the metaverse decides you're not all finite, your body, your physical body is going to be finite, and your soul exists outside of numbers. I think. I hope. I don't know. I don't really know. We were having a conversation last night about the energies, and I think an energy that people call energy, I call the soul too. So I think it's like, imagine if I didn't tell my children about God and about Christ, then I wouldn't have this natural separation of the soul and the body. Or maybe I would. And say I do, when I say, okay, there is a soul and there's a body, and you have to take care of your soul, and you need quiet time or meditation sometimes to touch back with your soul and like look back at what you're doing and correct the things that you're not doing right. But how much exciting it is to be able to, hi Peace Butt, welcome in. And if you hear me, send me a little message. If you can't hear me, maybe I've been talking and it's impossible to hear. And then that's too bad. It's all a fail. I'll have to go out. I'm learning this Instagram thing. I'm not really good. I'm not gonna put makeup on to come here. It's not my style. I don't have time to do that. And I hate makeup. Oh yes, so okay, if I thank you Jivan, lovely, I'm glad to hear. So I can give them this view that there is a soul and there is a body, and that somehow they have to take care of their soul, but their soul will need nurturing. And how can you nurture the soul? And how will they know, really, how to nurture their own soul? So they might look for gurus. And do I want them to look for gurus? No, thank you, sir. That sounds like a horrible idea. Simply because I've watched too many documentaries on Netflix and read too much about Kool-Aid, and I wouldn't want them to be following some dude or some girl or some anybody. But that can happen again inside the church too. But this is when, I don't know, you have strong parenting, good chats, trying to really make them understand to have critical thinking skills, question everything since they are little. Don't trust everything. I'm really trusting, so I'm the worst at this. But they this is not good to say on the internet, but oh well. How and just look at my paranoid of the internet sometimes. I don't know. So the soul, I can also just teach them how to pray, and praying takes care of their souls, and it also invokes the Holy Spirit, which is the holiest of all the spirits. Because can we agree that if you are going to agree that there is a spirit world and a body world, then the spirit world, there's other spirits, obviously, around us. I think all over. Um, yeah, and I think many other cultures acknowledge the spiritual world and the reality of other spirits in the world. So I want them to have the holiest of spirits guiding them. I don't want just a rando spirit coming in and taking over their soul. I want the holiest of them all. And most prayer starts with in the name of the Father, the Creator that we agreed on with the Big Bang, the Son, the guy that came and taught us how to love, and the Holy Spirit, the guy that will guide us through the spirit world. So if you have those three, and if you start your prayers like this, then what you are meditating about, you are at least well taken care of, I would say, and held by consciousness, if you want to call it, by the universe, if you want to call it like that, because I think a lot of spirit guides call it like that, the universe and consciousness and the being and the logos, this thing, just call it God. Just call it God. And that's who he is. And if you're in his side, then I think it's pretty safe. You're safe. You're gonna have a good life. You're gonna have a good life here and then. It's a win-win. And if I'm wrong, you're still going to have this 10 commandments, or yeah, that's 10 commandments that will make sure that you take care of your spirit, and the first three, that you have a day of rest, that you acknowledge with humility that you're not the ultimate creator or the ultimate being. You're one below, maybe two or three below, but you're below. There is the being, the logos, the universe, and then there's you. So you're acknowledging that in that first commandment. Second commandment, you will love him, you will respect his day, and I don't remember. That's super embarrassing. Jivan, if you know it, give it to me. That you respect the day of the Lord, so you have the one day of rest, and that you don't take his name in vain, because you're going to respect his position and his son's position in this being, how do you call, pyramid that you want to call it, worms and gross things, and then animals and fish and birds, and what's the next, mammals, if you want to say, and then we're humans, angels, and then God. We're going to acknowledge our position here in the being pyramid, and you are going to respect his name, and you're going to have one day a week to remember, to celebrate, to enjoy, to love your family and all your things. The other days you can work, you can do fun things, you can create like he did in the first 7 days, and then you have one day to rest and to admire your work and to be proud of it. Why would I not want them to have that order in life? Because I think life is also, as many materialists would say, numbers, and it all works in order, and perfection is achieved with order and balance. Both body and soul need order and balance, and that only comes with discipline. You have to move your body, even though you don't want to, maybe. Yes, exactly. Um, yes. And Jivan says, yeah, that's the most important thing, to keep God first and family next. So of course you want that in your kids. It also makes them happy. It gives them the sense of belonging. They grow with love, and with people. It reminds them that they're loved and to enjoy the things in life. So why would I not want that on my kids? Sure, yes, I know there's a lot of pedophiles around the church, and there's a lot of bad news around it, but I've also met pretty incredible priests. In fact, I don't think I've ever met a bad priest, um, as people call bad priests, but I know there is, and it's impossible to like close your eyes to it. But in the end of the day, they maybe are a gangrene part of the church, but they are still a part, and I am still a part, and the whole church is made up of different parts, and we all have to put our little piece of work and be as perfect as we can so that the whole body works as perfect. Some are not helping. Help, contribute. Please contribute with your own example, because that way then we all walk together to the greatest being into perfection. I don't know. I think it's a pretty complete world of way of looking at the world, and then with their body, it gives them also a balance, a natural balance with the other seven commandments. They have respect your mother and your father, which is like the fourth commandment. So respect your family and love your family first. The same thing that you were saying, Jivan, perfect. Don't lie. Don't commit adultery. don't don't steal. Don't be wishing you had somebody else's things. Don't be wishing you had somebody else's wife. Don't kill. Pretty like standard, I would say. Pretty standard ways of um, of living. And then above all commandments, love thy neighbor as yourself. And yeah, I'm on. My hippie self is all for it. It just requires me that I'm gonna take care of my spirit, and I'm gonna make sure that what I feed to my spirit is Christ in his body, in his blood, as he came in his prayer. And that's what I'm gonna feed. I'm not gonna feed it maybe some witchy guru, whatever they're trying to 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 feed my soul, or trying to get into that spirit world unguided. I wouldn't want my children to be there alone. Seems like a dark place. Seems like a place. So the thing with the soul and the body that my big fear is, that the body I can see what, like, okay, a tomato is good for my body, a banana is good for my body, because I can see it, I can see its effect, and that's it. My soul, I don't know what I am feeding my soul and how it's affecting my soul and my whole being behind, because it's like the RAM machine, the back thing that you never see. Like my phones are crashing because I never check that part, that background work. So what am I feeding there? With what I see, with what I hear, with what I read. So you have to really be alert on that, and I would like them to be there. So I think this book covers most of everything. Like the guide's pretty easy and simple to follow. And then there's also the the other book I wanted to say, like compare and contrast, really. I have these other two books that I brought down here for you. What convinced me when I was sort of choosing or questioning my faith the most, I was reading, actually not this guy, but Sartre, The Wall. Um, and I was reading it with also not this one, but a book based on this St. Augustine's Confessions, um, called The Restless Flame, where St. Augustine was an intellectual, he was a philosopher, and he was not giving that step of humility, of accepting that he was not the ultimate being. Um, but he would understand being with all the logos and the the classic philosophies that were coming before him. So when he finally accepts this, everything makes sense. All the theories before come back to making sense. And the allegory of the cave gets completed here. The like the sun, the logos, that's who God is, the universe, the whatever you want to call it. And then you have this loser, Nietzsche, who tries to make the world a little sadder and depressed and tries to take away God. And I think with a lot of his teachings, he kind of succeeded by doing that, bringing it back to like me. I am the center of the universe. I can do I can do it all. I am the super homo, and and that's where we start with this self-love, like crazy propaganda that we get now, and this is where we fail. Yes, self-love, yes, self-care, but also acknowledge that you're part of a community, you're part of nature, you're part of this beautiful existence of being in this planet, and acknowledge that. Acknowledge your role as a creature that is loved, and as a co-creator in life, and do amazing things. Maybe plant a garden, maybe have a family. You have all these fun toys of life. You have all the doors open. What are you gonna pick? What are you gonna open? What are you gonna do? You have you can't do anything. Do it. And that's why I'm gonna teach my children the Catholic faith. Not and I want to teach it with that positive note. I don't want to teach it in a restrictive way, the way that I think maybe most of us were taught, very restrictive with the specific rules that we had to follow. And if you don't, you're going to hell. And like, yes, okay, but let's teach it with this other positive note of take care of your body, take care of your soul, feed it what is good, do what's good, do what's good for others. Yes, loving is difficult. Yes, you're gonna be like crucified by some. Um, love anyways, and you'll be happy. And I think there's enough there's enough stories, there's enough people to prove us right. So that's that. And then on top of that, it gives them a really fun calendar, and I think you've seen that on my Instagram page. Um, it's a really fun way to like learn numbers, learn about creation, learn fun stories. They can color because there's a lot of activities you can do. There's so much fun stuff you can do. You celebrate Easter, you celebrate Christmas. There's always a good story. There's always a moral of the story behind it that teaches them something for the future, teaches them that they're loved, that they have dignity, that they are also amazing. So then they are happy, they're empowered, they grow up being happy people. Um, Hopefully, of course, you will create some traumas here and there, but I think I think a lot of the people I've seen that have grown with a hello, hello, with a welcome in, with a Catholic understanding, are very happy. Some have left faith, sadly, because they've had pretty horrible experiences, which I think it's very understanding. Um, and yeah, what can you say? I don't know. Come back. We love you anyways. And do what you need, and then send you a hug. Because really, you do you. In the end of the day, you will end up choosing what you feed to your soul and what you feed to your body. And how you take care of all of you is up to you. And there's so many other ways to do it, right? Who says I am right? Maybe, I hope I'm right, but I can't 1000% assure you I'm right because I'm not dead. I haven't been dead and I don't have a memory of life before this. So that's not. Um, but but I think as parents, we can't be sure of anything. We simply hope we are growing children and that they are happy and that that what we teach them is the right thing. So if you agree with anything that I've said today, um, let me know. If you have anything else to say, also put it there in the comments. If you think I'm missing something or that I'm crazy and I shouldn't be doing this, also let me know. Happy to hear. Happy to hear your comments. Share them on whatever device you share it. Thank you. Ta-da! Thank you for joining and have a good night. Bye bye.